they got to get better. Find a way to get better. So, yeah, they definitely had a great year, but we're expecting even more from this year. It was more when they got back. So, because we like to go back, watch all the cut-ups. I mean, there were obviously some things that were in my mind, but it's always good to kind of go back, watch the whole year. And they've both been outstanding. We kind of make tapes for each guy and pull the critical things that they need to see, but also all the different techniques so they can go back and study themselves. So it's been pretty cool. Like, hey, BB, watch all your blitzes. I'll watch them, and then let's talk about it the next morning. Because I think when they watch it, instead of just telling them, I think you get more out of it, right? If they're seeing the same thing that you're seeing, instead of you just saying, hey, this is what I saw. You need to get better at this. They come back to you and say, hey, coach, I saw I was doing this. I agree. Let's work on it this way. I think that's a better chance to get better. We obviously lost Iffy, and we gained Avonte Maddox, so Avonte will be an inside player similar to what he's done his whole career as far as a nickel safety body. That's what he's done at Philly for the years. And then after that, we got 5 young, unproven, hungry guys that there's one spot. Go earn it. And it's exciting, to see those guys compete. And obviously the OTAs, then the training camp practices, and they'll get the bulk of the work throughout the 4 preseason games. So we're waiting on one of them to pop. Hopefully 2 or 3 of them pop, and we end up in a great situation. The culture aspect of things with Dan is incredible, and it's all football. There's no drama. If you don't love ball, you're not going to fit in here, whether you're a coach or a player. So, and that's who I kind of am as a person, so it's easy for me, and it's something that I've kind of sought after for most of my career. The only other guy that I felt like I've really been around that's been like that was Rex when I was in New York. But Dan knows what he wants. I think he does a good job in the interview process. I think he's not just looking for great football coaches, he's looking for great people. And I think he's brought in a bunch of really good football coaches, a lot of really good people. So it's exciting. You get to work with some new guys, you hear some new things, some different perspectives, and it allows you to grow as a coach. It allows you to grow schematically. So I've enjoyed where we're at so far. Well, leadership, I think we talked about this some in my last press conference. One of the things Curb did last year was he had all the guys over his house on Thursday nights just to kind of create some group camaraderie. And, he paid for a chef so they could eat dinner and just so those guys could kind of hang out together. Just his leadership in the meeting room, like, hey, make sure you write that down or re-emphasize a coaching point that he might know for a player. That's hard on the grass. Or I didn't get that the first time around. So looking at a younger guy, hey, you get that? Like, coach, can you go over that again? Or, he might ask questions that he knows the answers to that other guys might need to hear the answer again or in a different way. As far as on the grass, everybody talks about the ball production, which is obviously rare. But one of the things that I'm most proud of with him is I thought he did an unbelievable job in open field tackling last year. And it was even more impressive than I thought when I went back and watched the cut-ups. I mean, you're really looking for 2 things when you're known as a post safety. Obviously, a guy that can go get the ball and a guy that can erase mistakes when the ball pops. And I thought he did an outstanding job of that. And that was a huge point of emphasis for us coming off of his season 2 years ago to last year. And we worked it a lot at the end of practice, and it showed up on the field. I didn't know anything about the kid at all. And he came to local day, and he crushed it. And, I mean, not just, the coach, like the DB coaches observed it. Phip ended up gravitating over. Dan ended up gravitating over. So we're like, who is this kid? And then we went back and we watched some of the tape, and some of the stuff we saw at the local day was showing up physical, could run, could obviously track the ball. So we've been impressed with him. He's in a little bit of a blender right now mentally because of how much defense we've thrown at him and what he's used to at Grand Valley. But when we're in the position drills, you can see the athletic ability. You can see him track a ball. So he's a great developmental player right now that I'm hoping develops into a damn good player for us. I think for us, number one is versatility. Okay, so last year and AG did a great job. If something happened and Brian Branch was out of the game or Kirby was out of the game, we had to immediately adjust the game plan based off of what Iffy's skill set might be or what Brandon Joseph's skill set might be. So in an ideal world, you're not going to get a backup safety, obviously, that can do all the things that Kirby and Brian Branch can do. But somebody who can play in the deep part of the field, somebody who can get down in the box and be physical and tackle in the run game. And then for us, where we're different with what Brian gives us, is the ability to play man coverage on tight ends and receivers, which is really, really rare. So that's a hard skill set to find. But we're going to ask our guys all through OTAs, training camp, and in the preseason games. We're going to ask our safeties to play man-to-man coverage on slot receivers, and we're going to see how they do. I did a full evaluation on them, did a Zoom interview with them. I met with them down at the Combine in Indy. It's a great story. It is, and he's a smart kid, and you know, we talk about grit around here. There's probably not a player that's kind of gone through more of that in his college career than this guy. I mean, stays at Georgia through 6 years, earns the right to start on that defense, plays really good for them around a bunch of guys. You know, he's first-round picks, and you know, so I'm excited about him. He was kind of the alpha in the back seven that did most of the communication. Very, very football smart. Got to make sure he's not thinking too much because, again, we've thrown a lot at him, and we've done that on purpose to kind of force some of these guys to sink or swim. But I've liked what he's shown out there so far in the week that we've had him. Throughout a game or as you're grading tape, you make little mental points to yourself like, oh, okay, they're attacking us this way, or they're setting the protection this way. Maybe it's because we got to do this to counter that. And you kind of have an idea, and then sometimes you think you're doing something good, and you're disguising stuff well or whatever, and then you go back and you watch every time you were in quarters or every time you were in man-to-man coverage, and you watch it and you try to do that during the season, but you don't always have time. You see things, right? You're not under a time constraint. You have more time to look at it and study it, and then you kind of go back. And so for the most part, you're good, but sometimes things are, like Kirby's tackling. I knew it was good. I didn't know it was as good as it was. I mean, it's a cut up that I'll hold on to for the rest of my career, because every time the ball popped, Kirby got the guy on the ground. I don't know if he missed one of them. I mean, he kind of came onto the scene kind of late in training camp, made some plays in the preseason. Kind of was bounced back and forth on the roster, up on special teams, down. Didn't get much playing time on defense, but again, he's one of those five that are fighting for a spot, and we got five guys fighting for their NFL lives. So it's going to be highly competitive. He's one of those guys. So I'm just looking to see where his jump goes, year two, because usually as a football player, that's your biggest jump in the NFL, year one to year two. He's not trying to hurt guys out there. I mean, a lot of times, as you guys know, those are bang plays, and if I'm a DB, I have my aiming point on where I'm about to strike a guy, and then if a guy catches and then his aiming point drops, it ends up helmet to helmet or shoulder to helmet or shoulder to neck, and that stuff's a lot easier to coach in slow motion than it is at full speed. So because DBs, the answer is, oh yeah, just go low every time. Now you're hurting guys. So we'll work it. I did. That's a real thing. Tim got that bag for me, so we're going to use it. We'll see if BB can punch a hole in it by the end of the season. So all good? All right, guys, have a great weekend.